I wonder, as a member of the media, like whether they're starting to feel like, you know what, this could be a lot of fun. Maybe I don't have to hate this fake Hitler. Maybe I could really enjoy covering this guy for the entertaining person he is, who clearly loves the country and has an agenda that now has wide swaths of report. I was just looking at the Real Clear Politics average for Trump right now. His approval rating currently is at 53. 53, you guys. This is a 3-4 days into all these executive orders, crushing DEI, crushing the gender madness, crushing the green energy excesses. He's at 53.
Yeah. I think, you pointed out on X this morning, there was even an article in Politico where they said, it's time to admit Trump is a great president. There has been a significant shift. I think a lot of the smarter people in the media have picked up on when someone wins a landslide victory and the popular vote, clearly the people have spoken. And if you're a journalist, there's nothing left to try to grift your way into a book deal saying that this is Hitler or anything. The people have spoken loud and clear. And you look at the guy, he's having the time of his life. It's because I think part of it is he's reflecting the energy right back at people. When I was struck, when we were done recording our episode yesterday, I'm driving past the White House and I just smiled. And it struck me, it's been a while since I was excited about where our country's going, the people we have in charge. Good days are ahead. That kind of optimism had been completely crushed out of the American people for 4 years. The American people are ready to be happy.
I'm like running over to my kitchen table in the morning to see what's in the New York Times, what's in the Washington Post, or what's in the Wall Street Journal, what's in the New York Post. I can't wait to see. And just getting on X and seeing, and we'll go through for the audience what Trump did yesterday and all the greatest executive orders that are still coming and what he's doing. But let's just start with that Political piece because my jaw dropped, Smug. I'm like, what is this from Politico? Like, yeah. I thought it might be a Spectator piece, when I first saw the language grab from it. No, Politico's John F. Harris, with a post this morning, he is the founding editor and global editor-in-chief of Politico. This is not some low-ranking, occasional columnist. He kind of is Politico, founding editor, global editor-in-chief. And this is what he says. The headline is "Time to Admit It. Trump is a great president. He's still trying to be a good one." And then he goes on to say as follows. All right. The second occasion of Trump taking the oath of office put him in an entirely new light. For the first time, he is holding power under circumstances in which reasonable people cannot deny a basic fact. He is the greatest American figure of his era. Let's quickly exhale. Great in this context is not about a subjective debate over whether he is a singularly righteous leader or a singularly menacing one. It is now simply an objective description about the dimensions of his record. He began a decade ago by dominating the Republican Party. He soon advanced to dominating every discussion of American politics broadly. Now his astonishing comeback after his defeat by Biden in 2020 and the notoriety of the January 6th riot makes clear there are certain things he is not and one big thing he is. He is not a fluke. He is not someone the American public somehow misunderstands. He is someone with an ability to perceive opportunities that most politicians do not and forge powerful, sustained connections with large swaths of people in ways that no contemporary can match. In other words, he is a force of history. There's more which we'll get to, but let's just stop there. What does it mean to you guys to see this kind of a piece in Politico?
Well, John is one of the few and rare journalists, kind of the old school, who observationally understand, right? And they don't deny reality, right? The sky is blue. And I think if you talk to the people who covered Trump for a long time, they kind of all come to a similar conclusion, which is this guy won a popular vote. Everybody knows who he is. I mean, there's not a single American wandering around who doesn't have an opinion on Donald Trump one way or another. And the majority of this country wants him, right? So the fluke is gone. And that did burden him, I think, for the first 4 years. We're on a very different path. And the thing that I find so interesting about this one is his lack of fear and his lack of hesitation to pursue exactly what it is that he said he would do. There's no nuance. There's no sort of sanding the edges to try to make things a little bit more politically nice for some edges of the electorate. He's just doing his stuff, and he's doing what he said he was going to do. And there's a confidence that exudes from that. And, with all of those executive orders, and we can talk about, them specifically, but they all just basically are what the American people wanted to have happen.
Yes.
And so, if you're a journalist, what's not to understand about it?
Right. No, I think the headline is a triumph. And I think it is because Trump earned that. I mean, if you think about all of the ups and downs of the last 10 years, nobody in some back room decided that they were going to engineer Trump into that job. No, everybody was against him the entire time, and he kept coming back and he kept fighting, and now he's got the press basically crying uncle on the front page. I think it's a triumph.
Yeah, I think the media definitely wanted to think he was a fluke, right?
Oh, for sure.
I feel
like a unique moment in time.
Hillary was so weak.
Yeah, and that's how they covered him. But it's undeniable now, not just his comeback to the White House, but the way in which it happened. And Ashbrook alluded to it. I mean, this guy was indicted in 3 jurisdictions over 40 times. He was, 2 assassination attempts, one that put a bullet through his ear, and he overcomes all of that to be returned to the White House.
It's really a testimony to that old adage that the only way to lose is to quit trying.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is. I mean, if you think about it that way, and in the context of everybody's lives, I mean, this guy had every reason in the world to walk away.
And every excuse.
Yeah.
Living a great life, very successful, playing golf every day.
Yeah, what's not
listening the desire to continue living.
Yeah.
I mean,
you give me that option to play 18 at Mar-a-Lago every day. I'm not sure I'm walking back into 1600.
Or a place in Scotland. No, I know. It's becoming very clear that the Great Comeback Tour is far more beneficial to Trump and the country than a straight 8 would have been for him, because he was able to flush old staff that was not working well for him and bring in new blood and come in with, as Don Jr. said in this show when he was predicting what would happen if his dad won, yes, people who are loyal. It's important to Trump, but also people who are competent. And he said the first time around, we kind of just went for competence. And we forgot about the loyalty piece. And that's how you got deep state actors whose mission did not align with Trump's, Rex Tillerson being one of them. Obviously there were others like Mattis, Milley, John Kelly. They had their own agenda and their own thoughts on how it ought to be handled. And nobody elected them to do anything.
Right.
They elected Trump. So now he's got it. And everybody, it's like, I'm reading today about how we're sending all these troops to the southern border. And it's going to require a fair amount of cooperation between the military, ultimately Hegseth, and DHS, ultimately Kristi Noem. Those two will work together because they are totally on board with enacting Trump's agenda. There won't be turf wars. There won't be, getting your back up because somebody wants more than you're willing to give. Everyone will be there in service of the mission, which is Trump's mission, which is our mission, the people who put him in office.
There's no question about it.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right, is that was the missing component. And also for the American people, even when Trump came to power just now, there was a bit of kind of lowered expectations, because you're like, I remember the first time there were all these people stabbing in the back. There were all these lawsuits. Everything got bogged down. You had issues with the House and the Senate garbling up his agenda, slowing it down. You have none of that this time. And the difference is loyalty. Everyone's on the same page. They learned so much from that first administration, how the media would treat them, how people that were brought in just because, he's got the right resume, not necessarily that they are 100% loyal to Trump and his agenda, which the American people resoundingly support. So there's no need to lower expectations now. We've seen in the first 48 hours, breakneck speed, he's delivering exactly what the American people wanted.
Yeah, and there's no better
and what he said he would do.
Exactly.
Yeah, no better demonstration of competence with the fast start. I mean, those executive orders didn't just magically print in perfectly embossed fonts right off of the printer on day one. I mean, there were a lot of people who nobody will ever know their names, who worked so hard to put that stuff together and thought about, this is how the deep state's going to react against us. How are we going to structure this so that we can have the most success possible? You're never going to know their names, but
and withstand the legal challenges, Ashbrook. It's a great point, because also clearly the person who wrote, it's a bunch of people, but the people who wrote these executive orders foresaw the legal challenges that were coming and wrote the appropriate defensive language right into the EOs. I heard the guys at Commentary talking about this. I noticed it too. In the DEI order, like no more DEI, we're done. If you're taking federal dollars, whether you're a university or you're a subcontractor of the government, if you're pursuing a DEI agenda, you're out. You're not getting our money anymore. And they had an exception on the universities for pointing out that to criticize the policy is totally fair game. Go for it. Like, we're not trying to curb free speech on a college campus about the government, its policies, its anti-wokeness. You can do that all you want. But if you push DEI agendas, that's a different story. We don't have to give our money to you. It's been done very, very cleverly, again, by people who learned from just not only those first 4 years, but then watching what the Democrats would do when they had power. Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, and regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic now more than ever. Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. So gold is an important option, and it can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold. There is a reason so many people love these guys and take all or just a small part of their existing IRAs and move them over into gold with Birch. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.